I remember that deduction day, and it's really painful, that Sherlock scene to watch, because I couldn't move my mouth. I was so cold. I mean, it was absolutely freezing, and I was just kind of trying to speak fast. Can you do a bit faster? I can't actually move my mouth. It was freezing. Our feet were freezing, and it was one single take, despite the cutting, to me picking the little clues out of his pockets and costume. But yeah.
And then you look at Patrick Melrose, another great Patrick role for you.
Yeah.
And this is from 5 novels, Edward St. Auburn.
Edward St. Auburn, yes.
Yeah, and how integral was he to you in playing that role, your relationship with him, to bring it to life? Because it is complex and interesting. It's alternately funny and harrowing.
Yeah.
It's about addictions and this very promising man caught up in them. It's a fascinating series when it came on.
Well, Teddy is an extraordinary human being. I mean, he wrote these 5 superlative novels, which are some of the finest prose you'll ever read in the English language. I mean, they're exquisite. You get a character in a line, you get an entire relationship in a page, and a world in a chapter, and it's just this incredibly honest, in the sense that it's a lot from his personal experience. Journey of this man from being an abused child into addiction and out the other side, and it's painful, it's very, very dark, it asks a lot, but it's also it's incredibly funny, it's searingly funny, and the two things allied and collide and inform one another as they do in life. The two masks of tragedy and comedy are right there in that material, and it was a joy. It was a real passion project of mine. I got introduced to the books a while before I knew they were being made, and it's very rare that I actually say anything to the question like, "What do you want to do next?" and "What do you fancy doing?" But there was a Reddit, and there was also I think a fan convention that was at in Australia, and I went, "Yeah, I really want to have a go at Hamlet," and that got a cheer. And I went, and also there are these books called, well, they're the Patrick Melrose novels. No, silence. But word got back to the producers at the time who were already developing scripts. With Tanya Sagachin, where are you? Sorry to embarrass you. David. Thank you, David Nichols, who wrote Starter for 10 as well. She's another neuron in the audience for me. Much more than that, but thank you. Round of applause for Tanya Sagachin, producer of The Power of the Dog, please. Thank you very much.
All right.
God, that was easy. What else can I get a few thousand people to do? Let's do a conga around Santa Barbara. Yeah, we might do that later. I'll have another couple of margaritas and we'll do that at the end. So David Nichols, I mean, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful author and a brilliant screenplay writer and adapter. So it was a very potent combination. And then the brilliant Ed Berger, a wonderful director who directed all 5 episodes. Is just yes, absolutely. His parents are here tonight. But he's very special, Ed. He's really, really brilliant. So
Jennifer Jason Leigh was great in that.
Incredible. It was an extraordinary cast. You know, Pip Torrens and oh gosh, it was quite something. It was quite something. And the way I kind of came on board wanting to play the role, and they were thrilled. But then I said, look, can I help produce it as well? And actually, Rachel more than anybody came to Rachel Horowitz. It was her and Michael, her husband, who were producing it and already developed it with David. And they said, we'd love you to help us with figuring that side of things out, because we've commissioned stuff before and we've produced from that executive point of view, but we've never been on the ground. So we put the team together. We put Ed and James Friend, our amazing DOP, together, and there it is. It was a real passion project from beginning to end, and Teddy's a very dear friend as a result of it. Which is a good result, I guess. I mean, he wouldn't be if it was an awful rendition of his superlative works. So I'm very fond of that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check out that series, because it's really something. And it got him I believe it was your 6th Emmy nomination at that point. I mean, losing track. You've won them. You've you know.
I've won some. I've lost. I can't remember either, which is really embarrassing. But it was amazing to get that recognition.
Well deserved. And from the other side of something like that, these blockbusters you keep finding to do, you know, from Star Trek Into Darkness as Khan Oh my God. You know, were you a Trekkie? Did you just want to be in a Star Trek like Whoopi Goldberg, you know, called them up? I'm just a Trek. I want to be in Star Trek.
No, I wanted to be in Star Wars. No, I got it all
still
wrong.
Time, brother.
I got it all wrong. I don't know. That shit might have sailed. I kind of got it all wrong. No, but I mean, you know, J.J. Abrams calls, and I didn't know the lure of this. I used to watch the series, but I wasn't an ardent fan. I didn't have any kind of fan base knowledge. I wasn't an expert by any degree, but of course I knew what I was going into. I hadn't seen Ricardo Montalban. I hadn't seen his Khan. But then I didn't even think about that. I just thought, I really want to work with JJ. He's a visionary. I love the first film. I thought it was so punchy and irreverent and knockabout and just fresh. And that cast, that amazing, amazing cast. So, yeah, I got the call. I did an audition on my iPhone and he thought it was all right.
It's a lot of physical training for that too, right?
That was the first time I kind of beefed up and did that kind of Hollywood actor thing where, you know, then people come up to you, and I always have this laugh with Paul Rudd, and he comes, I remember the first time, and he was, I think, it might have been a bit after this, but we still joke about it. Hey, how are you? Hey, oh, yeah, hey, oh. Just like this sort of man-slapping that goes on in Hollywood between men. You kind of slap each other's sort of there around the triceps and biceps. Oh yeah. It's very weird. So yes, it was the first time I'm doing that, and eating a disgusting amount, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I mean, I like I've always been interested in marrying the body and the mind. I don't see the Cartesian, you know, duality thing at all. It is, for me, it's all one. And so any approach to character, however much it might be from both approaches, the inside and the outside, it's to get to a place where it's all contained in everything that you see, and how whatever's inside comes out through that physical form. So he's a genetically engineered warrior, so I had to do some press-ups. It's that simple. And you know, when going back to Stephen Hawking or to Patrick Melrose, you know, as an addict, there's sort of variations in what's controlling his appetites, his needs, his physicality was constantly shifting, and then the aging of him, because it's a series that takes him over, you know, a good 3-4 decades. That all, yeah, I get a great kick out of that, and especially when you get to do that journey in one. But yeah, Khan was the first time I really hit the gym to get buff. Yeah.
Well, and then you picked another one, another little movie, Peter Jackson, The Hobbit.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, Desolation of Smaug. I mean, now this was CGI, and and we're gonna, when we show this clip, I mean, you're gonna be riveted, because we're watching you in the process of acting this role and then seeing how it turned out. But
which I didn't need to do at all, by the way. I didn't know. He said it's a voiceover gig, and I said, but I really want to do. I want to do the thing with the thing, and move. I want to be with Andy Serkis doing
the movement that they didn't even think of themselves.
No, and
right?
he was on a break. Andy was on a break. The king of all of that. I mean, just a genius physical actor. Well, genius actor, but genius physical actor. He really initiated that art and mastered it, unlike any other, really. And he was on holiday. He was having a break. So I was there with Peter in New Zealand, and it was really also an excuse to get to New Zealand. I'd heard a lot about it from James McAvoy. We worked on Atonement together as well as Started for 10, and we went walking when we were doing Atonement, and he said, "You've got to get to New Zealand, buddy. You're gonna no Scottish accent this time, I promise. You're gonna love it. It's Wales on steroids. It's extraordinary." And it is, and it was, and Weta's there. So, you know, in the middle of doing Star Trek, I went off to do what was supposed to be 2 weeks' work, and Peter didn't know what to do with me. After 4 days, I was sort of running the whole scene. He said, "I think we got it." And I said, "Well, shouldn't I run the whole scene?" "Oh, the whole scene all together?" I will attempt a bad Kiwi accent. And I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, it's only about, it's 5 pages long." Well, sure, by all means, if you want to do it, you can do it. It's fine. And you don't need to. We've got what we need. And so I did it a couple of times, and he sort of clapped lonely. And then the guys behind me also started clapping because they were a bit embarrassed, I think. All the guys on the keyboards watching my avatar doing things which were never going to end up in the movie. Bless him. I mean, it informed the vocal quality, I suppose, of the dragon a little bit. But I think the people at Weta was very generous in publicity when they talked about, yes, Benedict's, I mean, it was his physical performance, and yes, we translated that into the dragon. It's like, no, you really fucking didn't. That's a 400-year-old, mile-long serpent breathing fire. There ain't no way, as you'll see, that I could do that. So feel free to laugh at it. But at the same time, it was so amazingly liberating. I felt like a child again, literally, because it was just, there were no marks, there was no costume, there was no continuity. It was just play. It was just, guileless play. Which is what it should be.
So amazing. Well, he's talking about it. Let's see what he's talking about. You're also, right after this, going to see a scene, just to remind you that he's a very serious Oscar-nominated actor. His first Oscar-nominated performance in The Imitation Game, which is another great movie. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but let's take a look at Hobbit right here.